Fellas, this video is on review of 1.11, 1.12 that has topics, equivalent expressions, and transformations. The questions will be, well, if not hard, then at least not easy. So the calculator is not allowed, as this says. You can download this worksheet from the link in the description, and if you need private tutoring, feel free to reach out. Okay, let's start with question one. For the integer k greater than or equal to 0 defined by f sub k x is, okay, that's a weird function. For which values of k does this fk? You don't really have to be worried about, is there something special just because k is in the subscript? Not really. They're just, it's just a fancy way of representing it. Honestly, even if I write this as g and g, that's honestly going to be the same thing. Anyway, so they are asking that for what value of k does fx have a removable discontinuity, which is called a hole. You might have heard the word, the hole and VAs may not be removable discontinuity, but it's fine. Both are given. At x equal to 2, whose limiting value is 0. What is the meaning of limiting value is 0? You understand that x equal to 2 is a whole, and when will x equal to 2 be a whole? I'll talk about limiting value in a minute. When will x equal to 2 be a whole? It will be a whole when the degree of this factor that is giving me x equal to 2, the degree at the top is at least greater than, it is at least equal to that of the bottom, which gives me the value of k as anything greater than or equal to 1, because at k equal to 1 it will be equal, and for greater than 1 as well it will be a whole. But which option to select now? Because 1 and greater than or equal to 2 both are in the options. So that's where this limiting value of 0 comes in, because they want to say that not only it should be a whole, but limit x approaching 2 of fx or fkx must be a 0. And that will be a 0 only when, if after cancelling this factor x minus 2 out, I'm left with at least one x minus 2 factor at the top, and that will result in a 0. So in other words, I want to say that the minimum value of k should be 2, because if I put k as 2, let's say square, and everything else over here, x minus 4 over x plus 1, and if I do limit x approaching to 2, then remember that one of this guy will be cancelled. So I'm left with x minus 2 times x minus 4 over x plus 1. And the moment I will put x as x approaching 2, 2 minus 2 is 0. And the limiting value will now approach to 0. That's what they wanted to say. So the answer is k greater than equal to 2. All right, next question. Let this be a function with real constants a, b, c. Now, if f has a horizontal asymptote at y equal to 3 and a removable discontinuity, once again a whole at x equal to 2, then which triplet satisfies these conditions? Okay, the first things first, I think HA is the easiest to find, because whenever the degree of the top and the degree of the bottom is same, then we were able that the HA is the ratio of the leading coefficient, right? Leading coefficient at the top is A, the leading coefficient at the bottom is B. Sorry, at the bottom is 1 in this case. So y is equal to A over 1, or y is equal to A is the HA. But they are saying HA is y equal to 3. So it definitely means that A must be 3. That's the first thing that I concluded. So it cannot be option C for sure. It has to be either option A, option B, or option D. Now they are saying x equal to 2 must be a whole. So it will make sense if I factorize the bottom. So the top will be ax square, sorry, a is no longer a, right? A is 3. So 3x square plus bx plus c over x minus 2 times x minus 2 times x plus 2. If we want x equal to 2 a whole, then I want x equal to 2 to be a factor of the top as well. Because if it is not a factor, then x equal to 2 will result in a VA, which I do not want. So I want x equal to 2 to be a root of the top. In other words, if I put x equal to 2 in this expression, it should give me a 0. Let's do that. Let's replace x by 2 and consider that this guy should result in a 0. So 2 squares 4, 4 times 3 is 12, 12 plus 2b plus c equal to 0, all you have to do now is check options one by one and see which combination is giving you this. Option A is -7 and 3. So if I check option A, if I replace b by -7, so -14 and c is 3. Is this giving me a 0? -1 plus 3. Well, that's not a 0, that's a 2. So A is gone. B is giving me, I believe, 12 plus B is 0 and -12. I think we have a winner, right? I'm getting 0 equal to 0, so that should be the correct choice. And option D will be 12 and -10 and plus 1. So is this guy giving me 0? 13 minus 10? Nope, that's giving me 3 over here. So that's also not correct. So that's why the answer is just option. I think I made a calculation error in A, although 12 minus 14 is -2. What am I thinking? So this should be 1. But anyway, the answer A is still not correct. D is not correct. So the answer is B. Remember, guys, all these questions you will not see anywhere because I myself created these questions, right? But feel free to download this worksheet, so it will be super helpful for you. Yeah, that's what I want to say. So the answer is B, right? We agree on that? Yeah. Okay, all right. Question number 3, based on transformations. So hope you have a decent knowledge of transformations because this is also covered in Algebra 2. It's a big portion. It's actually the first unit when I take tutoring lessons. That is the first unit that I teach in Algebra 2. But anyway, consider this function, consider the transformation of this. So which ordered list correctly describes the sequence of transformations applied to the graph of f to obtain h? List operations in the order they are applied to the graph. So the order is really important because I'm looking for what is the correct order. It's not like I just have to list out the transformations in any order that I want. No, that's not what they want. Okay. Like I said, the first thing, I always tell this to my students that if you have a coefficient of x, even if that's -1, make sure to factor it out. Otherwise, you will fall, most likely prey to the order, right? You don't want to do that. So I'm going to rewrite this guy before even attacking this question. I'm going to rewrite it by taking negative as a factor and rewriting like this. And now it is pretty much clear to me what I have to do. I'm not even reading the options right now. What I'm going to do is think about fx. First thing that I'm going to do is I will multiply x with -x, which is essentially a reflection about the y-axis. So I think I see that right over here. Obviously, you can see that this is the only option, but even with that being the only option, you can reach this only when you will factor out this negative, right? So that's why. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to replace x with x minus 2, which means that I'm going right by 2. And there you go, right by 2. Then I'm going to multiply a negative sign outside, and negative sign outside would mean I'm running out of space here. Negative sign outside would mean that I'm reflecting about the x-axis. So there you go, reflect about the x-axis. And finally, you know the deal. I'm gonna add 3, which is translating up by 3. And let me give you a pro tip. A pro tip is whenever you have a vertical translation involved, do it at the end always. You won't get this in the book, but I'm telling you, this is a really important, really helpful tip that if you have a vertical translation, up or down, doesn't matter, do it at the end. You will be safe. All right, guys, question number 4. Suppose f has a domain of this and range of this, and g is transformed with some weird things, or the domain and range of g. Remember that whenever we transform a function, there are always 2 kinds of transformation. I mean, 2 as in one that changes the horizontal attributes and another one that changes the vertical attributes. The one that changes the horizontal attributes are horizontal translations, horizontal dilations, and reflection about the y-axis. Likewise, the vertical guys will be translation in the vertical direction, dilation in the vertical direction, and reflection about the x-axis. Whatever changes horizontally changes the domain. And whatever changes vertically, or whatever transformation is applied vertically, changes the range. If you understand this, then at least you will be a little less confused if this is the if you are seeing this question for the first time, maybe if you struggle with these questions. So I can see that there is only and only one horizontal transformation involved, or maybe two. Actually, what? Maybe two. Uh, let me tell you how, because they are very clever by writing this as 3 minus x, but actually it is minus x plus 3. And minus x plus 3 means that the x is with a coefficient which I have to factor out. I hope you understand. Minus x plus 3, I'm going to take minus as a factor, so I'm left with minus of x minus 3 plus 5. So there are two transformations. One is this is reflected about the y-axis, right? And then it is moved right by 3. Now, see, if the domain is 0 to infinity, try to visualize this is the domain 0 to infinity. And if you reflect about the y-axis, don't you think the domain will become negative infinity to 0, because all the negative values will come in the domain? So this negative sign has a job of changing the domain to negative infinity to 0, 0 included. And this minus 3 has a job of adding 3 to the domain. And adding 3 to negative infinity will not really change anything about, I mean, come on, if you take 3 buckets out of an ocean, it won't really become a lake, right? It will still be an ocean. And you add 0 with 3, so it will become 3. So just by this, the answer has to be option A, but answer has to be option A or C. Now let's work on range. Range has three things that are changing it. One is the vertical dilation, then reflection, and then vertical translation. First, I will do a reflection about the x-axis. So it does the same job. If it is 0 to infinity, when you reflect about the x-axis, it will become negative. So it will be negative infinity to 0. Now you will multiply 2 on both the sides. So infinity times 2 is another infinity. If you mix an ocean with an ocean, it will be an even bigger ocean, which is still an ocean. A weird example, but yeah, you understand. And 2 times 0 is 20? No, it's not 20, it's 0. So apparently it doesn't really change anything when multiplied by 2. And adding 5 would just mean that you will put 5 buckets in an ocean, which will not change anything, and 5 to 0 will become negative infinity to 5, which is sitting right here, guys. So the answer has to be option A. Right, hope you're enjoying so far. If you are, kindly subscribe, kindly like, kindly share. It will really help me. And if you need private tutoring, if all this is too overwhelming for you, feel free to reach out. Okay, Pascal's triangle, guys. Consider this expansion. Which of the following terms appears in the expansion? Oh my goodness, look at that. They're so kind that they're allowing a calculator. Okay, guys, I hope this is all about remembering how to make a Pascal's triangle. So you start with 1, which corresponds to n equal to 0, where n is the power. Then you keep on making 1, 1, then 1, 1, you add 1 and 1, 2, then put 1, 1, 1 and 2 is 3, 1 and 2 is 3. So n equal to 1, n equal to 2, n equal to 3. I have to go even further, 1, 1, 4, 6, 4, 1, 1, 5, 10, 6 and 4 is 10, 4 and 1 is 5, n equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, one more. 1, 1, 5, 1 and 5 is 10, 15, 20, 15, 6. Sorry. Have I made a mistake somewhere? I think yes. 1 second, guys. 1 and 5 is 6. I don't know why I wrote 10. 1 and 5 is 6. This is 15. This is 20. This is 15. This is 6. Okay, maybe I didn't try. Okay, anyway. This looks correct, I think. So they are looking for the x cube, y cube thing, right? How do we arrange the Pascal? We always start by the the first term, and we start with 2x being the maximum power, and then we keep reducing it. So fifth power, then sorry, sixth power, fifth power, fourth power, and third power, right? We will write 2x cube. I'm not really bothered about the other powers because I just have to focus on the cube term. Then I write the other guy, which is 3y, and 3y power will be starting from 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3. It will automatically be 3. So yes, x cube, y cube will definitely be a term. This will be 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth position. 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth position is right here. So the coefficient is 20. And whenever the sign is negative, you toggle the sign. So you start with plus, minus, plus, minus. So it will be minus. So the expression will be negative 20, 2 cube is 8, x cube as it is, 3 cube is 27, y cube as it is, and I am going to pull my calculator. 20 times 8 times 27, that is negative 4320, negative 4320, x cube y cube, which is comfortably sitting right in option A. All right. Oh my goodness, look at that. Tony Stark hands you a rational function and he says, for what value of p does x equal to 1 become a whole rather than a vertical asymptote? Okay, excellent. I can see that the power of x equal to 1 is square, or x minus 1 is square. So it would make sense that if I put x equal to 1 over here, then it should be a root, and it should have a multiplicity of at least 1, at least 2, because only x minus 1, having an x minus 1 on the top will not suffice, because the degree of the denominator is still more and it will become a VA. So first you have to make sure that x equal to 1 is a root and find that p. Let's do that. So I'm going to put 1 on the top. So 1 cube minus 2 times 1 square plus p times 1 plus 6 is equal to 0. 1 minus 2 plus p plus 6 is 0. P plus 5, right? Because, yeah, is equal to 0. So p is minus 5. So what I have right now is option A, but don't jump to conclusion. X cube minus 2x square minus px plus 6. So this p is minus 5. But I have to make sure that if I do a synthetic of this guy, 1 minus 2 minus 5, 6, with 1, let me do the synthetic and then talk about it. Obviously, it will give me a remainder of 0 because 1 is a root. So 1 times 1 is 1, 1 minus 1 minus 1, 1 minus 1 minus 6 minus 6, 1, 6 minus 6 minus 6, 0. I hope you understand. If you don't, then please read synthetic division again. Then over here, the quotient that I have is x square minus x minus 6. Now I have to make sure that this quotient also has x equal to 1 as a root. Let's try to put x equal to 1 here. So am I getting 0? 1 square minus 1 minus 6. 1 minus 1 is 0. Well, minus 6 doesn't really look like 0. So unfortunately, there is no real p that will make x equal to 1 a whole, because x equal to 1 is a root of the top with a multiplicity of only 1 that will still make x equal to 1 a VA. So Tony Stark tried to throw a bouncer on us, but yes, we were able to answer it. Great work, guys. Last question. Which statement is correct? Okay, I know that I just have to simplify this. Most likely D is not correct because of the pattern. Okay, but let's not follow the pattern. X square minus 4 can be written as x square minus 2 square and over x minus 2. X square minus 2 square is x minus 2 times x plus 2, and this is x minus 2. Gone. So I'm left with x plus 2. So it's not this. It has to be A, B, or C, but remember that x equal to 2 is not in the domain, because that will make the denominator 0. Anything that makes denominator 0 is either a whole or VA. It's certainly not in the domain. So for all real x, nope. For x not equal to 2, yep. X not equal to minus 2, nope. Minus 2 is allowed. I don't really have any fight with minus 2 because that guy is not making the denominator negative. So option B makes perfect sense. Right, guys, thank you for watching. Please like, please subscribe, guys. It will really help me. If you need private tutoring, feel free to reach out. See you guys. Bye.